Good evening, good afternoon, Harlem and Harlems of the world. I'm Terri Wisdom, and this is Harlem Network News. And as many of you know, Harlem Network News is a media platform. We started at the onset of COVID, and we are still here. Our mission is to really assure that Harlem and the Harlems of the world are informed, engaged, and called to action. And that is extremely important, such a time as this. When I started out, I was always speaking about is media the message or is the message the media? And that really came from years ago when I was in journalism school. It's a book that was by Marshall McLuhan, and nothing could be more true than that now. Just trying to figure out what's happening, deciphering information. And so that's why right now, Black media matters. We've got to be informed. There's so much information that's moving all around. So we really take our job extremely serious here. Before I move on to our guest, I just want to salute some of our most recent ancestors. I think it's very important at such a time as this. We want to salute ancestor Judy Jones of Rochdale Village in Queens. She was a community activist. Also, David Johnson, brother David Johnson of Queens and Hempstead, very, very active in his community, a wonderful wife, 4 children, really push through. Family matters. So we salute you, David Johnson, and we know you are a great lover of jazz. And Coltrane, a love supreme. That was your favorite song. And we also want to give our prayers out to Sister Jackie Rowe Adams. And Sister Jackie Rowe Adams is the founder of Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved. And she started that organization when she lost 2 sons in 2 different cities to gun violence. And that made her get together with some of the public officials and start Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved. But last Saturday, Jackie lost a 3rd son, not to gun violence, but to illness. So we're just sending all of our love and care to her. And he is going to be laid to rest, or he will be by the time this show airs, was laid to rest on the Friday of the prior week. So there's a lot going on, but we know that all of our ancestors are resting in peace and resting in power and watching over and guiding us. So I wanted to just lay the groundwork because very important that we salute our ancestors first. And I know there are many more, but those are the personal ones that have come. Okay, so our very, very special guest today is in the person of Dr. Amber Ann, and I believe Nzinga Lyons and Brath. And I'm going to just have you, Dr. Ann, and please introduce yourself. Please tell us who you are and whose you are. We'll start with that, what this great life journey has been for you. And I love doing this because I think it's very important for young people, for whomever the listeners are, to really understand what people's journeys are because it always is helpful. You kind of get a connection and see how it relates to your journey, and it may inspire you for sure. So, without further ado, we have our Dr. Amber Ann Nzinga Lyons. Thank you. Brath. Go right ahead, my dear.
Greetings,
Welcome.
greetings, Sister Terri Wilson. Thank you. Excuse me, Wisdom. I'm sorry. Excuse
Oh,
me.
that's okay.
Thank you so much for having me here tonight. It has been an honor connecting with you and being able to come back. We were on here recently with the Grandassa models,
Yeah.
and to be back again tonight to share about who I am, again, whose I am and what I do. Well, I am, as you have already stated, Dr. Amber Ann Nzinga Lyons, and I am a woman who loves God. I am a mother of 3 adult children. I am a grandmother of 4 beautiful young princesses and princes, two
Okay.
grandsons and 2 granddaughters, age ranging from the age of 14 being the oldest. He'll be 15 next month, and
Okay.
down to the youngest is 8. So
Okay.
I'm grateful to be able to be a part of the village.
Okay. I love it.
I'm a part of the village, okay? So
Mhm.
they're important in my life, and I thank God for them. My 2 daughters, Naquana Thomas and Janelle Lyons, the mothers of the children, 2
Okay.
each.
All right.
They both have a boy and a girl. And then my son, Emmanuel, he doesn't have any children. So I am their mother and their grandmother, and we are all legacy carriers. And we are proud legacy carriers of great spiritual legacy and great African heritage legacy, which hails from my connection with you. With
Okay.
Bob Elombe, my late father, Bob Elombe Brath, and late mom, Mama Namza Brath, being through AJAS, American Jazz Arts Society and Studios, and the Grandassa model. She was one of the original Grandassa models, and my father was one of the co-founders of AJAS, and they founded the Grandassa models as well. So along with my uncle, Uncle Kwame Brathwaite,
Mhm.
has passed away as well. He was a world famous photographer who we know that his images are all over the world in the homes of many people. Black is Beautiful movement. So AJAZ was the pioneers of the Black is Beautiful movement, and being hailing from such a rich legacy, um, the which our connection comes because you were definitely connected with them.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
yes, and Uncle Kwame's wife, Aunt Sokola, was actually one of the Grandessa models as well.
Okay.
And she is actually the one that helps to keep us moving forward with some of the ladies from the 1960s that are still a part of the Grandessa models down to today's generation. So we now have 3 generations that
Okay.
have embraced the Black is Beautiful movement. And we are in the process of being able to open up the doors to others who are not just biological legacy carriers, but who also understand the power that we have as Black kings and queens walking this earth and what we bring to the community at large. So that is what we desire to do, as we said back when we were here on your program last. We are role models. So we are
Right. I love
modeling,
that.
we're
Mhm.
modeling what we want to see in our young people, because we know that the days in which they came up in the 1960s, when they had to come up against so much racism and being the first, being able to not be able to be accepted for wearing your natural hair and being mocked and things of and embracing your own natural beauty in a society that did not appreciate who we were as people. They made their mark, but today we face a whole nother, we've come a long way, but there's other forms of racism that are being faced today, other forms of, are being held down. So as many accomplishments as we have made, many advancements as we have come forward with, we are still fighting as a people. And we want our young people, our youth and young adults, to know that they can be proud of who they are. They can be proud of their skin. They can be proud of, I mean, I look at some of the models that,
Mhm.
are coming out of Africa now. The tall, statuesque, beautiful, dark-skinned women. I mean, they are slaying it. You hear me? And this is
Okay. I love it. I love it. I love it.
they are, it's like, yes, honey, just do your thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, it's a good thing, but I think it's interesting. I'm Terry Wisdom. This is Harlem Network News, and I'm here with Dr. Dr. Ann Nzinga Lyons Brath. And we're speaking about the Grandassa models, which we did an amazing show on the Grandassa models. And it was the next generation as well that was really speaking. And the Grandassa models, as was shared, I believe it's late 50s, early 60s, began. And they were at that time embracing their own beauty with natural hair, a range of skin colors, which we as
Yes.
people of color are, and just loving their selves. And with the cultural component of AJazz, with the component of the photography that came out of it, the artistry, the theater, it was a complete and total movement. In fact, there's a film that Louise Dante has produced. I believe it's winning an award, about the Black is Beautiful movement, the wonderful book that our late and new ancestor, Kwame Brathwaite, produced. And so there was even a wonderful exhibit which traveled around the country. It was here in New York and traveled to several other cities. However, in this time and such a time as this, I know that and believe that we have done some rolling backwards. And that was happening even in the 70s. I know that one of my classmates, Gil Scott Heron, coined the phrase, it's winter in America. And that meant like wherever we had gone forward, we were coming back. And in some instances, we've gone very much forward, but we have also rolled back. And in some instances, though we have the role models, there are still some struggles with image and self-esteem, for women, for men, and we are indeed, especially in a New York City, even more of an ethnic melting pot than ever. We have lots of people that are here from Africa. We have people that are here from Yemen. We have a huge Arab community. We even have like Black Jews. We have people from South America. It's just a range of things. And I think it's very interesting. I could go on, but I'm not. But I do want to say that it's very interesting when you study your history. And I'm really just coming totally upon this, that more enslaved people were dropped off in South America than North America. You know what I'm saying? But that's never really realized or talked about how many people of African descent are in South America. So it's something that we have to look at, we have to understand, we have to embrace. And I love the idea of models being role models. That is so, so
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because even if you talked about struggling with image,
Mhm,
still today, but if you look, um, I think people have come a long way. And I
mhm,
think sometimes what happens is when we get freedom, we go all the way to the extreme.
mhm,
Now we have body positivity and all of that, which is wonderful, you know.
mhm,
However, we're walking on red carpets half naked.
mhm. Yes.
We're showing any and everything. And it's to the point now where it was like the younger artists, and the younger actors that was
Mhm,
had that imagery that you would see.
mhm,
But now
mhm,
it's some of the older women who they call aunties. It's like,
mhm,
is everybody having like a crisis of some kind that you got to
mhm,
still prove that you
mhm,
sexy,
mhm,
that you have to
mhm.
show practically your who'ses and your what'ses and
Yeah. Yeah.
leaving nothing. It's like we've gone all the way to the other extreme. And
Right.
that's what happens.
Mhm,
Where is the balance? Where is
right.
the imagination? Where is the sometimes I wonder, how do these men feel with their women walking and they showing all their business? Like
Yeah.
some of the men like it because they push
Right.
it, But at
Mm,
the same time, it used to be a day where it's like men wanted you to say what was theirs, but not that they own
right.
you. But you know, if
Mhm.
that's your husband, it's like they don't want you putting yourself all out there for everybody to see like that. But
Right.
today,
Yeah. So times, a lot of times have changed.
yes.
And there are a lot of things that are out of order, and I will go back to I'm Terry Wisdom, Harlem Network News. I will go back to an African fable or parable. With freedom comes responsibility. So
Mm.
we have to
To
look
whom
at it
much is
like that.
given, much is required.
Right. With
Come
freedom
on.
comes responsibility. And I think, some of what is happening in terms of imaging is what media, once again, media matters, Black media matters, and conscious
Yep.
media matters. So it's being pushed out there that this is, what's beautiful. This is if you want to sell records or if you want to be in something, this is what you have to do. And, no shade, but I mean, we know in the times of
It's
Cleopatra.
reality. It's not even
Yeah,
shade.
yeah,
It's
but
what's
I'm saying in
happening.
terms of the hair, I'm a natural hair kind of woman, and there are some who are doing the weaves, who are doing the wigs, and I'm saying we know that even from our history and our ancestry, Cleopatra, there were wigs and hair weaves and all of that. We invented all of that, but it's to an extreme because it still appears in some instances that the straighter or the blonder or the whatever, people are thinking that that's more beautiful. And some of the people are not really looking in the mirror when they put these wigs on and the part's not straight and it's this and that, and it's evident, you're just not looking right. So I think we have to really get back to black, or get back to consciousness. We've got to do that because we are imaging and we are role modeling for the youth, the younger children. And you even see some younger children, because that's how the parents have dressed, coming to school with, a midriff, the navel out, the this, the that, and so we've got to really kind of put some things in order.
Well,
Mhm.
that's where you have you always gonna have um a diverse, landscape of
Absolutely.
who people are and what they represent
Mhm.
culturally,
Mhm.
how they were raised as far as religion and their
Absolutely.
spirituality is concerned, all kinds of things come into play there. So their
Mhm.
education, who they are and their profession.
Mhm.
So when we look at celebrities, you have to look at the fact that a lot of them are in that limelight and that stuff keeps them marketable.
Absolutely.
It keeps you, relative so that people
Mhm.
and relatable so that people can be talking about you. And some of that
Mhm.
stuff is done just for, like you said, for media, for buzz.
Right,
So
right. But my thing is, it is done just for media, but it's also that media is designating what's going to be. And, we could continue to go on, but we understand, in the whole music industry and what music is coming out, even the music of like the drill music, which is kill music, that is impacting people. And
oh
there
yes,
are people behind the scenes that are marionetting this kind of thing and making money off of it.
oh
So
yes,
yeah, so
all about the money.
we have to be conscious.
Oh,
We'll
definitely.
put a period on that. We must be conscious, we must be diligent, we must be vigilant, and we must be role models, which is where the Grandassa models are. But if you would share, because I know you have an organization,
Mhm.
and your organization has an event that's coming up on, if I may, it's coming up on May 19th, which is also the birthday of El Haj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X, and I believe it's the 100th. So if you would share a little bit about your organization and why and how you founded the organization, please. And where is the organization?
Well, I currently reside in Atlanta, Georgia, Stone Mountain, Georgia. They said Stone Mountain in Atlanta. But the city, the big city that people would know is Atlanta, Georgia. But I'm in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and have been since 2011, July 2011. So I'm
Mhm.
going on what, 14 years being here.
Mm.
Wow.
Okay.
Yes. My organization, From Pain to Purpose Incorporated,
Okay. Mhm.
is it started in about 2010, was a birth kind of 2010 into 2011, birthed based on with the foundation of being a domestic violence and teen dating violence advocacy organization. And it was birthed when I was still in New York, when
Mhm.
I was about to relocate here to Atlanta.
Okay.
Um, I personally was a client at the New York City Family Justice Center to combat domestic violence.
Okay.
And I as a client that was under the mayor's office,
Mhm.
New York City Family Justice Center, and that was under the mayor's office to combat domestic violence. So I was one of their clients, and I ended up getting a lot of services and resources from
Mhm.
them. So that's
Okay.
where the organization was birthed. It was birthed from me giving back. I became a volunteer at the New York City
Mhm.
Family Justice Center down on J Street in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And I became a volunteer there. I volunteered there for about a year doing administrative work and things
Mhm.
of that nature. I would go there on my day off, and I would, because I back then I worked at my church, and
Uh-huh.
I was off on Monday, so I would go down there and volunteer. And whenever else I was able to, I would go and volunteer with them. And then after a year volunteering, they saw in me something that I never saw in myself. They said, you would make an amazing advocate.
Mhm.
And I was like, hmm. I just really wanted to kind of give back to be able to give a voice to
Mhm.
hurting women and children that were
Mhm.
suffering in silence. And because I have received so many resources from them.
Mhm. Okay.
And they said, you are one of our most successful clients, and we have some things we would love for you to do. They sent me to San Antonio, Texas for 4 days of training
Mm.
as an
Beautiful.
advocate. So I trained with people of all walks of life in the community, the legal, the law enforcement, the medical, business, every area that a person that impacts a person's life was
Mhm.
there to be in training for those 4 days
Mhm.
and to be able to get
Okay.
yes, and to share. And that's really where From Pain to Purpose was birthed when I went there and I began to share about what I felt the calling on my life was to be able to help others. But
Mhm.
just in birthing From Pain to Purpose Incorporated, and it's based on our scripture from Revelations 21:4 and 5 that talks about there shall be no more crying, no more death, no more pain, neither shall
Mhm.
there be any crying anymore. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. So
Mhm.
you go from pain to purpose. They say your mess
Okay.
can be your message, but that's where From Pain to Purpose came from, because it was God that took my pain and turned it into my purpose.
Mhm.
So from there, I relocated here into Georgia, and I relocated in July 2011. My first event was
Uh-huh.
October 2011. So I came in
Okay.
and hit the ground running, and I had did an event
Beautiful.
at my church before I left.
Mhm.
It was a domestic violence awareness day, and we brought in
Mhm.
people in the community. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke was there. Charles
Okay.
Barron was there.
I
Councilman
love
Charles
it.
Barron was there, and
Mhm.
they came, and the people from the New York City Family Justice Center came and gave a they all presented proclamations and things of that nature
Beautiful.
to the church and on my behalf for the work that I was bringing the church into and bringing
Mhm.
into that community in Brownsville.
Mhm.
So that was
Okay.
one of the staples that I did before I left there, and came down here and hit the ground running. And since then, From Pain to Purpose is not just about domestic violence and teen dating violence, but it started out with just domestic violence. Then we branched into teen dating violence when I came here. And
Mm,
then we went to youth advocacy
mhm.
and mental health. So mental
Okay.
health is one of our latest programs.
Mm,
Our youth program is called Healing Pain Through the Arts,
mm,
because the arts, we use the arts as a cathartic tool to be
mm,
able to help our youth and young adults heal their pain. And that was birthed in me through my son. The pain
mhm,
that I saw my son in, he
mhm.
his love and his gift of music to be able
Okay.
to help others heal. He's an artist, he's a
Mhm,
rapper, he's an actor, and he used his gift to be able to tell his story and to paint the picture on the canvas of his life, to be able to help inspire other people that
mm.
if he could, be able to make it, they could too. So, and he was still in the thrust of even dealing with things that I didn't even know, like depression, tells
Okay.
his own
Mm,
story. So,
mm.
he works with me very deeply in
Oh,
our Cope
beautiful,
to
beautiful.
Hope. Our youth mental health program is called Cope to Hope. Youth
Cope to
and
hope.
young adults mental health matters too.
Beautiful.
And he is an artist with us. He's been an artist at From Pain to Purpose when I've worked in the schools. We've worked in churches, businesses,
Mhm.
um, organizations. We have received proclamations
I love
from
it.
several mayors in
Mhm,
Atlanta, Lithonia, Loganville,
mhm,
DeKalb County
mhm,
CEO, Stone Mountain Mayor, for the
mhm.
work that we've done and have
Wow.
days named as From Pain to Purpose Day and things of
All
that
right.
nature. So we have put in a lot of work to be able to help men, women, and youth and young adults to be able to deal with domestic violence, to be educated, equipped, empowered, and encouraged for the
Mm,
intervention and prevention, not just intervention, but the prevention of domestic violence and
mhm,
teen dating violence, educating in the schools, educating in businesses, in churches, bringing that message of teaching people of it's not just a black eye. Okay, it's
mhm,
not just that somebody got shot because the stuff made
mhm,
the news, the story made
mhm,
the news. But if you're being berated by somebody's mouth, okay,
mhm,
if they're stripping you of who you are, if they're using
mhm,
verbal abuse in the home setting,
mhm,
that is domestic violence. People think it's
mhm.
just somebody beating you up. That's a myth.
More. Yes, it's more. And there's also just to interject a little bit, this is Harlem Network News, and I'm Terri Wisdom, and I am here with Dr. Amber Ann Nzinga Lyons Brath. And she's speaking about her organization From Pain to Purpose. And we clap it up for you that you were able to
To God
take
be the
what was
glory.
pain and turn it into purpose. And that can happen in a lot of areas, like things that are weighing people down and issues, it's a beautiful thing when you can push through that and, find your calling and, for whatever the strife and horror was, there was a purpose that came out of that.
Yes.
And even in this time, there is still a lot of domestic violence, and it doesn't have like education value on it. It doesn't have a color value on it, and it doesn't have an economic value on it. It can happen across the board. And I think it's important the work that you're doing because there are situations where people feel helpless. People feel helpless, and even from the the legal standpoint, because I think if you have a criminal situation, it's easier to get like a free attorney. But if it's a domestic situation, I don't believe it's as easy. So there are a lot of things that go into it. But thank you, for this great work that you're doing. And I also think it's very important to start with the young people because there's so much violence that's happening out here. The gun violence. As I shared, Harlem Mothers and Fathers Saved, Jackie Rowe Adams. I'm also member, unfortunately, of Harlem Mothers and Fathers same.
So
My
sorry.
son was shot and killed like,
I'm
3.5 years ago. But what I have found and noticed is we meet monthly and, people share their testimony. A lot of the violence, at least in the central or the Harlem area, is a lot of Black on Black crime. And
Mhm.
we're looking at this and saying, where is this all coming from? But there's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of economic disparities. There's educational disparities, separate but not equal education. And there's not the real development of the culture of who you are. And obviously, when we speak about the village, when we were in our native villages and in our habitats, there were structure, there were rules. It may not have been perfect, but the village would get in it.
Mhm.
So, these are some of the things that we're dealing with. But that's amazing, the work that you're doing. Are you solely based in Georgia, or do you have branches or expectations of being other places?
Well, we are physically located in Georgia, but our work has gone around the world globally.
Okay.
When the pandemic came, we were local.
Mhm,
And then our work went national,
mhm,
right before the pandemic. And then with the pandemic, we began to do things virtually, and I began to work with people around the world. I
mhm,
actually led a young leaders club, of
mhm,
young people, being the leader of the Young Leaders Club, the global leader of the Young Leaders Club
mhm,
of the World Women's
mhm,
Conference and Awards for two
mhm,
years, almost 2 years. I worked
mhm,
even with my own organization. I seeded time and my talent and my treasure into this organization and worked with young people in Cameroon and in South Africa
mhm.
and
Oh, wow. Okay.
yes, all around the world.
Mhm.
They were some were here locally in Atlanta, some were in London, but
Okay.
yes, all over the world. And I've been interviewed
Mhm.
on platforms in Australia. The first interview that Code to Hope really had, excuse me, was in Australia, an organization in Australia, and we've been in British Columbia, we've been
Mhm.
in Canada, we've been
Wow,
in
I
South
love it.
Africa. I mean, Israel, all over the world. This Our work has gone global, and I've been blessed to be the recipient of so many awards.
Mhm, mhm.
Iconic global game changers for 2024. I'm a
Okay,
co-author in like 5 different books.
okay.
So our work has made its mark around the world. I actually just became honored the end of last year, the beginning of this year, no, beginning of this year, February, I
Mhm,
was honored
mhm.
with the Design of God Kingdom Builders Award. And I just got word a couple of days ago that I am being honored in July with it's called Elite Dolls of Faith Incorporated.
Mhm,
They're
mhm.
have recognized me as a leading lady legacy with a leading lady legacy
Mhm.
award. So
Okay,
God is good and our work is
all
definitely
the
being
time.
recognized. But we put in a lot of hard work in
Mhm,
the community and we do a lot globally too. That's where we're able to spread more faster with the connections that we've made
mhm,
around the
mhm.
world. So I'm
It's a
grateful.
powerful thing. And this is Harlem Network News. I'm Terry Wisdom, and we're talking about Dr. Ann's organization, from pain to purpose.
Mhm.
And I just think that's amazing. I was actually at the Ms. Magazine Honor Awards this past week, and Win with Black Women was one of the recipients. But it was just very interesting because I remember when Ms. Magazine started, but it's like now the CEO is Black. It's much more of a different patchwork quilt. And they do give awards to women organizations. So maybe Pain to Purpose will be one of those awardees, and Harlem Network News will be one of those
All right
awardees.
now.
We're looking for that. But that is great work. What in this time where a lot of funding and monies and organizations are losing funding, people are losing their jobs, have you been impacted by this loss? How do you basically sustain this organization?
I've definitely been impacted by the inflation in and of itself. We have sustained this organization through in the beginning stages and even sometimes now a lot of my own funding. And
Hmm.
we do have sponsors.
Okay.
And we do have people that donate. Presently, it's not on a consistent basis. It's usually when we're doing an event or something like that, and
Hmm.
when we are soliciting sponsors and donations. And sometimes it's goods and services. It's not just finances, but it
Hmm.
takes finances to. And we do a lot of free work, which we have to really kind of pivot and start putting some fees on some things
Right. Yes. To
because
really do more.
it's a
Yeah.
lot of time, energy,
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Our Dr. Ann
and
is.
when I say free work, I mean when we do it globally. So when we go out and speak, and let's get it clear. We go out and speak and stuff, we there's a fee, but
Right.
when it
No,
comes to
important. No, very
the global
important.
work, a lot of times it's because we do a lot of check-ins, and check-ins is where we really want to tap into the mental well-being of people and provide them with some dynamic resources and informations. We've
Hmm.
done them in person, the Hope to Hope check-ins,
Hmm.
our mental health program. And we have not put a fee on those at this point
Hmm.
in time.
Hmm.
We've done also award ceremonies for our
Hmm.
youth and young adults, healing pain through the arts. First, it was
Okay.
Teen Spotlight Awards.
Hmm.
And now it's Young Teens Healing Pain Through the Arts Youth and Young Adults Spotlight Awards, where
Hmm. Hmm.
we shine the spotlight on
Hmm.
youth and young adults who are first it was they had to have overcome life adversities and challenges and was using their gifts and talents to inspire others.
Hmm.
But when the post-pandemic, God gave to me to be able to honor those who have remained resilient
Hmm.
through the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yes.
So the last one that award ceremony we had has been a little while now. It was in 2021. So we're due
Okay.
to have one, but we've been focusing so much on the Code to Hope, and the domestic violence piece because we have an annual prayer vigil, online prayer vigil
Hmm.
for the domestic violence. Uh, it's called When Advocates Pray. It's a virtual prayer vigil called When Advocates Pray. And that pray is praying positionally realigned to annihilate yokes. We don't want to just
Okay.
destroy the yokes or
Hmm.
we don't want to just break them because when you break something, you can put some glue and put it back together again. But
Put it
if
back
you
together. I
annihilate
hear
it,
you.
okay,
Annihilate.
it's not coming back together. Okay. So
I hear you.
we actually have done that every October for Domestic Violence Awareness
Hmm.
Month for
Hmm.
5 years. This year will be the year 6. And we
Hmm.
have prayer warriors that we gather them to pray over the areas of domestic violence,
Hmm.
breast cancer, and
Hmm.
all cancers and mental health. Because mental health
Hmm.
is October the 10th, the National Mental Health World Mental Health Day is October the 10th. So
Hmm.
these things we've been doing, and the finances has definitely impacted us. It's
Yes. Yeah.
in a
We all,
great way.
we all know what it is,
In
and
a great way.
yeah, we all know what it is, and it's interesting. And I know before we started the interview, we talked about being resilient and us being a resilient people, us being able to resist. And this is actually bringing out the best in us. And
Yes.
we can use that same concept from, this being what it is for us to push through and, get into our purposes, be stronger, develop our businesses better from an internal sense,
Mhm.
and just awareness, which is what Harlem Network News is about, people being informed, engaged, and called to action. Yes, we can.
Yeah.
So if you would just share, we're going to wind down. but I know that you have an event that's coming up, and it is going to be, to my understanding, on May 19th, which is the 100th birthday of El Haj Malik Shabazz, Malcolm X. So, would you share a little bit about the event and, the purpose of the event and how folks can become a part of this event?
Sure. Before I share about the event, can I
Mhm.
share a little bit about hope, a little bit more about Hope to Hope itself? I know I
Yeah,
touched on it,
absolutely.
but let me
Absolutely.
just break Hope to Hope down a little bit.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hope to Hope was birthed a couple of years ago. I think this is going into our third year, August. In May, I was on a panel speaking. And for Mental Health Awareness Month, May is Mother's Day month. Yes, we honor
Yes,
all
yes,
mothers.
yes,
Happy
yes,
Mother's Day
yes.
to all
Happy Mother's
mothers.
Day. Yes.
Happy Mother's Day to all mothers, godmothers, mother figures,
Mhm.
grandmas,
Absolutely.
all mother figures,
Mother, fathers.
spiritual mothers. Happy
Mm,
Mother's Day. So we
mm,
celebrate that in May, but May is also the month of mental health awareness. But mental health awareness, just like domestic violence, is every day. It's not just that, but the focus is on it in May. And then October 10th is World Mental Health Day.
mm,
Now, a few years ago, I was speaking on a panel about mental health. And
mm,
I asked God, what should I speak about? And he gave me cope, the word cope. And so I spoke about no young people being left behind, something to that effect. And after that, I began to see so many issues with young adults in regards to them really dealing with mental health, going through at post-pandemic. They were really struggling with a lot of mental health issues, a lot of
mm,
anxiety, depression,
mm,
suicidal thoughts and tendencies,
mm.
and even attempts. Our
Wow.
2021 award ceremony, Healing Pain Through the Arts, Youth Spotlight Awards, we honored two young ladies posthumously. One of them was a 21-year-old,
Goodness.
was a young lady that she was either
Mm.
20 or 21 when she passed, but the other young lady was a 9-year-old girl
Oh,
who committed suicide
oh my goodness. Mm,
because she was being bullied.
mm,
Just this past December, we honored the life of a 12-year-old young boy who also took his life to suicide at our
mm,
Cope to Hope
mm,
holiday maintenance check-in.
mm,
So we began to see that this was a need where adults were just trying their hardest to make it through the pandemic and come out of the pandemic. The focus was not on young people. There was
mm,
a rise in emergency room visits during the pandemic of teenagers with
mm,
mental health issues.
mm,
So this, we begin to see, schools being shot up and things like that about mental
mm,
health. I saw a video of a young child. He had to be like 10 or less, saying he wanted to grow up to be a killer. These are
mm.
things that impacted me. And I was like, God, he birthed in me to speak on cope. And then after that, he gave me cope to hope.
Hope to hope.
So cope to hope. Cope is not necessarily a bad thing. It's really
Mm,
managing stress and being
mm,
able to use what you have to manage to get through, to transition from one period to another. But we have been stuck in cope and we're not getting back to hope. The
mm,
Bible, our foundational scripture is Proverbs 13 and 12. It says, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream
mm.
fulfilled is the tree of life. And that's why I love the color. Purple is my favorite color, but green has risen up because green is the color of mental health. Purple is the color of domestic violence. It was my favorite color before I was a domestic violence advocate. But
Mhm,
now mental health being the color of green has become one of my favorite colors as well because it brings life. And when you see green, it just speaks life. You see the trees are green, the grass is green, it's
mhm,
life. So the Bible says that
mhm,
hope deferred, when it is delayed, when people don't have the gumption and the heart and the bandwidth to reach for hope and they're just coping and it's delayed, it makes the heart sick. But a dream fulfilled, when you fulfill a dream, it's the tree of life. So hoping is getting back to fulfilling your first dreaming again and then fulfilling our dreams. So coping is when we talk about coping, we were dealing with, The C is check-in creates communication, going deeper in our communication, not just that
Mhm,
surface level
mhm.
that we were doing with our young
Right.
people, because when they come home from school, it's like, well, how was your day? Fine, that's it. No, we got to go deeper. We got to go
Mhm,
deeper in our conversation so we can tap in and see what are we missing. The O is observation. The O is for observation. It creates opportunities
mhm,
for us to be able to see that there is a need. That P is provision. We are able to provide the resources that young people can't provide for themselves. And then that E is eagerness. You know, the E is for like a green flag. In dating, you have red flags, up, stop, no, you ain't the one. But in mental health, it's all about the green flags. When we see these things, we have to rush in. We have to be able to move swiftly and not sweep it under the rug. Oh, not my child, not my Jimmy, not my Susie,
mhm.
not my
Right.
not my daughter, not my son. They ain't dealing with no mental stuff. They're not in depression. We see their behavior changing. We see things are happening, and we still turn a blind eye. So
Mhm,
that's the cope. And then we get to the hope. Hope is healthy and optimistic perspective every day. Instead of being pessimistic, we have to have a healthy, in order to be healthy, that means we got to be healed from toxic, unhealed past behavior,
mhm,
traumas. In order to be healthy, we have to understand what healthy relationships look like. In order to
mhm,
be healthy, in order to have a healthy perspective and optimistic, to be able to, what is our viewpoint? How are we seeing? It's about our vision. We may have eyesight, but do we have vision? So healthy and optimistic perspective. What is it that we're seeing for the day? What is our perspective? What are we looking for? If we don't look for anything or have a perspective that something's going to be good, it's going to turn out good, you ever meet somebody that every time you ask them, they got a complaint. Now,
mhm.
sometimes we all have something that we can complain
Yeah, and
about,
it's fine.
but you ain't never having a good day, ain't nothing good never going on. So you have to have a
Mhm.
healthy and optimistic perspective, not some days, every day. So
Yeah,
that's where
because
we begin to hope again.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. I know this is Harlem Network News, and I know in some of the schools in New York City, I don't know if it's across the board, but I know that it is in Central Harlem where there are like color charts and the children are getting in touch in a circle, restorative circles, to check in and actually see how they're kind of feeling. And it's through colors. And it's interesting because even with the small children, they will say, I feel happy, you
Yes,
know, but
yes.
and then some of them will say, I feel happy, but I feel sad too, so
Mhm.
it's interesting to, just not be zoned out and
Yeah,
really begin to tune in, even at a small age, to see how you're feeling and then to look at why you're feeling that way. But
because it's been
let's,
overlooked. It's been overlooked
yeah,
for so
yeah,
long, but we
yeah.
have
So
to
it's,
pay attention because it's affecting our 40% of our youth are dealing
right.
with sadness and
Yeah,
depression.
and our adults, because I think the stress factor, one of the things, and this is a whole one of the knowledge is power things, is that in New York State, our comptroller, Brad Landers in New York City has literally done a study, and it basically says, and I thought I had to do the research and see the papers because the mean income for Blacks in New York State is $19,000. And the mean income for whites is about $270,000. So that kind of disparity
Large,
shows
yes.
you what the stress level is. And
Yeah. It's real.
even
Oh, it's
even
real.
working people, I was, overhearing a coworker and basically saying, I thought I had made it when I got to a salary of $75,000, but no, they're taking 47% of my money in taxes. So I'm really like struggling. So
Yeah,
these economic conditions can make for a lot of stress, even domestic violence stress,
definitely.
all kinds of stress in the home, poor parenting, people looking to
Nutrition, not being able to eat
nutrition
properly, trying to
and
eat, and that then
self
we lead into all these diseases with
and
diabetes and
self-medication, so we've kind of gotta get back to healthy on a lot of levels. But please, before we go,
the event.
Dr. Yes, please, can you
Yeah.
share a bit about the event that is
Yeah.
coming up? Because
Yes.
yeah,
We are proud to be able to bring to you all virtually, so anyone can tune in from
nice,
anywhere in the world
nice.
on Monday, May the 19th. That's not this Monday coming up, but the following Monday. We're going to be having a Cope to Hope check-in called What's on Your Mind.
Mm,
And the purpose and the vision of this particular check-in is all about what you're talking about, Sister Terri. It's all about what's happening in the world today, what people, the stresses and the difficulties and the challenges that are weighing on the minds of people. And we're giving a space to be able to bring in, we have several panelists that are going to be sharing on world affairs and economics. It's going to be sharing
okay.
about relationships as far as marriage, as far as singles. Going to be
Mm,
sharing about faith and ministry. Going to be
mm,
sharing about youth and young adults, business entertainment.
mhm,
What place does business entertainment have in our mental capacity today? How do these
mhm,
things help shape? We're gonna have people. We're gonna have a licensed
mhm.
mental
Oh,
health professional that will be on to kind of field questions. Each one of these panelists will be able to share information, strategies, and tips to help us to be able to get through these times and to be able to pivot how we need to move and what we need to be watchful for. And then you can ask questions of them. And we have a site that is available that I will give to you that you can put in this post that they can go on, and they can go on the Cope to Hope site and they can actually see some of the things we've done, and they can register through the site. And
mhm.
also the Zoom link is available in the site. So it's
Okay.
open to all ages, it's open to all communities. We want people to fill the Zoom room and come and get this information, because guess what? It's a lot on our minds.
Okay. Well, I love it. I love that phrase, what's on your mind. And I think even at Reverend Al Sharpton National Action Network, they always have like a what's on your mind, and other platforms, what's on your mind. And that's very real because it gives people a chance to, I wouldn't say vent, but express what is on their mind, you know.
Mhm.
And that's another form of getting in touch with self. And
Yeah.
I think for myself, because this work is hard, as you said, and we've got to get some economics and dollars behind it. Harlem
Yes,
Network News, we need sponsors. We need you to make those donations. You can Zelle us, you
please
can Cash
do.
App us, Harlem Network News, because that helps us to continue to do the work. And this is a time where the work is needed, the work is required, the work is hard. And every time that we have gotten out of the circumstances that we're in, be it Soweto in South Africa or Frelimo, and all of
Mhm.
the circumstances that we have come out of, the Wounded Knee, the Native, basically we have had to dig down deep, do the work. But I find that what helps me a lot in doing this work is, interviewing people like you, Dr. Ann, and the Grandessa models and all
Yes.
kinds of things. I always find out so much, even in covering homegoings, you find out so
Mhm.
much about these great people like Dr. Hazel Dukes, and you find the Roberta Flack, you find out so much. But what helps for me is being in community.
Mhm.
That's always a great thing. It's good to be at home
Yes.
and to take care of your home, and get some order in your home, get some clean in your home. There's something about that. Cleanliness is next to godliness, and I believe that's
Mhm.
true. And eat to live, or what, all of these things factor in. But I think being in community is important, to
Yes.
connect with other people that are doing things or working on something, or just events that can lift up your heart, and also, physical activities. I was
Yes.
at a wonderful event, which was led by a friend, Isato Begrisha. I'm going to put together some of those. And there were drummers. It was a small event, but she's doing like a folkloric thing through a fellowship, from African dance to this to that. And artistry. There was a great wearable art artist, January Moja out of DC, and she was just speaking. She had, done some of the costumes from Sun Ra. But the wonderful thing with this panel, after the discussion, they didn't do a Q&A, but they then had food, which was wonderful. And when they
Always
when
is.
they had the food, and it was at the Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation, but and they have a beautiful gallery of Black art, But when they had the food, that was the time you could network around with people, which took the place of the question and answer. But because it was folkloric and the arts, after the food, one of the sisters, and some of the people were elders, and she led like an African dance circle
Mm.
with the original like funga, alafia, dance, and everybody participated in it. But it was everyone left with such a lifted weight off of their head. So I thought that was just such a way to do a
Yeah.
panel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. The
that's
arts are
being in
cathartic.
community. Yeah,
The arts are cathartic. They help
absolutely.
you to be able to, get some relief, to be able to release
Mhm.
some of what you're going through. And usually our events are arts infused at some
Mhm.
point.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, when we did the
Wonderful.
last one, my
Yeah.
son did a spoken word.
Beautiful.
He's always performing.
Okay. All
But
right.
we may
Okay.
have another performer
Important.
that does, but it's
Mhm.
important for us to infuse the art so that people
Mhm.
can be able to see that as a way of speaking to the pain in a different way and being able to release. And
Mhm.
arts, music, they say, it soothes the savage beast. It's a universal language.
Yes.
There's so many forms of arts that we can
Mhm.
be able to receive healing through. So yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So very, very important. All of the work that you're doing, and we salute you in any way that we can assist you. We're doing that right now, just getting the
Yes, you
word out,
are, and I'm honored to be
more
here.
people, understanding. So if you'd like to just give a final closing word or reflection, we will close out. Thank you.
Yes. I would say definitely not just during the month of May for Mental Health Awareness Month, but in every day of our lives, there's so much that we're challenged with. Make sure that you are focusing on find what ails you, seek what heals you, forgive what damages you, and embrace what builds you. That's a saying that I have. And also remember that in all you're doing, to lead with love, because people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Okay. All right. Well, that's a good note to end on. And I know that we've got to pour into our arts, and we've got to, I don't want to use the word control, but we've got to take control of our arts as well, because art is a powerful thing, and if it's like negative music that's reinforcing over and over again, or if it's negative, like video games, because some of these games there's one game, I think it, I don't want to say it, I don't know, but it's a game where you play the game and the game is to kill, and then you do a dance after you kill. And this is targeted towards young
Oh,
children. So we have to
Jesus.
get our technology together. The game is Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
that's what it is. But we have to get together and know what our children are looking at, know what they're
Definitely.
seeing, know who they're talking to over the internet, and we have to control that for
That's
ourselves
part of that.
now.
That's part of that check-in. That see,
Yeah.
you got to go deeper. You can't just stay surface no
Yes,
more.
yes, yeah, you
Yeah.
can. And I know I want to just give a great shout out to my grandson, Messiah, who is graduating from Howard University. It's a great Mother's Day present. They always have their
Yes.
graduation on that Mother's Day weekend in computer engineering. And it's been quite a
Wonderful.
journey for him because, as I mentioned, my son was shot and killed, and that his father, and that happened right in the middle of his first semester, you
Mm.
know. So it's been a stand up, it's been a resistance, it's been a get in touch, it's been a push through um,
Yes.
to the end.
Congratulations.
And this is not the end. This is the beginning because we know that school and especially at HBCU can really be a cocoon. And of course, I
Yes.
encourage. I'm at a Lincoln University, and I'm a Howard
Community,
mother and grandmother.
community.
So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
encourage all of us to embrace those HBCUs because it helps us to work on our self-esteem, know our culture. We got to know more of our culture, we got to know ourselves. But college is a cocoon in a way, and now it's like time to step out into the real world. But I just want to, salute my grandson and all the other people
Con-
who are graduating.
Congratulations to all of the graduates
Yes, yes,
everywhere. And yeah, no,
yeah,
parents are celebrating this month. May is a big time. May and June, I know up in New York and
mhm,
all of that is a big time
absolutely. And
celebration.
my
But
and
I want to say this before I leave, and I don't know
yes,
how I left
please.
this out of my
It's
intro.
okay. Let's go. It's
I
okay.
am known as the queen of smooches,
Ah,
because I lead with love and I show
oh,
love everywhere
mhm,
I go.
mm,
So they call me the queen of smooches. So that's part of
oh.
my brand as well.
I like that. That sounds good. The queen of smooches. I like that. Yeah.
Yes. And
So,
and that was bestowed upon me
mhm,
internationally because
wonderful.
the organization I worked with for a couple of years, World Women's Conference and Awards organization, I would every time the end of the meeting, I'll be like smooches, and they start calling me South Africa Queen Sister, start calling me the Queen of Smooches. So it's
Okay.
stuck. And I was just like, oh, wait a minute, let me
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
that.
That's a good thing. And I know that you really are fulfilling your legacy. My partner, Brother Ruby, was very close with Brother Elombe as well as Brother Kwame. And, at points when he was doing a lot of business in Africa, Liberia, all over the continent and lived there really for about 10 years. But many times your uncle and your father visited and they did work in Africa,
Oh, yes,
and that Pan-African,
yes,
movement.
yes.
So it's very interesting that in your work, the work is global. And I think that global now has a new meaning, especially because we have uh, this internet and this worldwide connection and
Mhm,
WhatsApp where we can just pick up the phone and
mhm.
FaceTime somebody and see them. So we're in a different world. But
I
even
was on a meeting internationally today with Los Cabos and
yeah, yeah. So, but we have to even control that, and
yes.
we
And
have
South Africa also today was on the meeting.
well,
Hmm.
okay, I love
Yeah,
it. So
and
you're
and, and
following.
someplace else in Mexico. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's all over.
Yeah.
And the Our Time Press article for the
Mhm.
Grandessa models, if
Yes.
anybody has not seen our March issue for Women's
Mhm.
History Month, please check out our issue on Our Time Press. And also we have another article coming up for the next generation. It's going to be printed this month for Mother's Day month.
Mm,
So my
beautiful.
article speaks to kind of Mother's Day and mental
Okay.
health awareness. So
Okay. Okay. Well, you're busy.
the next generation, it's not
Uh,
all of us this time, it's the next generation.
Okay,
So
so
yeah,
you are busy. I know many books are coming and much information
a
is,
lot going on.
yeah, yeah, that it's a beautiful thing. Thank you for sharing. And this is a good May Mother's Day month, for us to talk about all of these things that are going on. And I want to ask everyone to Google asktoya.com. And that is a Black AI platform that's in a soft launch. I want you to check it out. My partner, Brother Ruby, is the developer of it. And it basically taps into the databases of some of the HBCUs, a Schomburg library, and it is just us getting into AI because, there's a lot of fear and this and that, but we've got to be in it to win it. We've
Mhm.
got to control it or we're going to be consumers as
Yeah,
opposed to creators. So it's
yes.
very important. So I'm
You
Terri.
know, we some creative people, honey.
Yeah, we're creative people, so let's do it. But that's asktoya.com. And then as I was sharing, I also want to just say that we're pre-recording this, but today, Thursday, um, it is May 8th, and it is the 100th anniversary of the Schomburg Center. So they have had, a lot of activities over there. They're going to be having a lot of activities throughout the year celebrating their 100th. So,
As
uh,
they
you know,
should.
check out their site, see what they have going on. Also, we have a young artist who is the youngest son of Brother Ruby, Hailey King Ruby, he's an amazing artist, Basquiat. We call him the Basquiat of Harlem, and he's a little bit older than Basquiat would have been. So he's 35. He has Down syndrome. His work is amazing. And he will
Mm.
be celebrating his birthday at the Renaissance Hotel, the Victoria Hotel. It's a wonderful exhibit that he's had up. So, come through and the restaurant is really representative of Harlem, so it's very nice. But his artwork is amazing.
Mm.
So we'll have
Awesome.
more of that up on our site. So that's what we do. We try to connect people and just work on the healing and the development of our people. I'm Terri Wisdom, Harlem Network News. If you have a story or something you feel needs to be shared, you can reach us at harlemnetworknews@gmail.com or 646 261 5397. So that's all for now. Thank you so much, Dr. Ann. And
Thank
we
you.
look forward to your program that's coming up on the 19th.
Yes,
And
thank
a
you so
very
much.
befitting day. Very befitting.
Yes, thank you. And Baba actually passed away May 14th.
Oh,
So
oh my goodness. Okay. Wow. And that's actually Hailey's actual birthday. So May is a very powerful time. Very powerful time. I remember the street naming as well. And
yes,
the
yes.
actually we had the restaurant at the time, Harlem Besame, and a part of the repast was there. So just a lot of connections. One thing that I do love about Harlem, and I'm sure Georgia has, and all of the Harlems, because we say Harlems of the world, so Georgia's a Harlem too. But like I said, I love being in community, and I love the village. You know,
Mhm.
there's a
Oh, yes,
lot of work to do. We got to rake a lot of leaves and a lot of
yes.
weeds, but
Me
the village.
too, definitely.
Yeah. So
Community in the village. We need one
yes.
another. We need, especially during these times, we need one
Yeah.
another. Thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah.
much for
Okay.
having me
Have
here tonight.
a great
It's been
day.
an honor to sit with you and
Mhm.
to share. Thank you for this platform. I don't take it for granted.
Mhm.
Harlem Network News will continue to share, tell people about it, and let people know who you are and the great work that you're doing. So thank
Okay.
you again.
Thank you. This is
Um,
this is healing work. So let's go. Thank you.
yes.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all social media, and there's a lot more to come this year. This is that
Yes,
way.
from pain to purpose, we're all over.
Mhm.
I'm Dr. Ann
Absolutely.
Lyons on Facebook. From pain to, I'm on Instagram, Dr. Ann Lyons, or Nzinga L on Instagram, and From Pain to Purpose is on Instagram, From Pain to Purpose is on Facebook. Our YouTube channel, From Pain to Purpose Incorporated. So check us out and connect with us. And the link for the Cope to Hope event on the 19th will be shared in the post.
Okay. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. And have a blessed week, month, and happy Mother's Day to all. Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to all. Thank you again.
Okay.
Smooches.
All right. I love it.
You too.
Thank you.